What is the best thing that has ever happened to you for being nice? In the early 2006, on an evening while waiting for my friend to pick me up from the bus station, I saw a young couple looking lost. They were poring over a map. They looked extremely exhausted. I walked past them to assess the situation. I overheard the woman worrying that they wouldn't have enough money to pay for the taxi to go to the border of Singapore. My town is the border between Malaysia/Singapore, let alone any money to pay for a hotel. They have to catch a flight back to San Francisco from Changi Singapore Airport the next afternoon. My friend arrived. I threw my bag through his open window, went to the couple and asked them if they would like a ride to the border checkpoint. They looked up at me, eyes worrying if this deal is for real. I insisted on helping them. Turns out the guy had just finished his assignment in Iraq and the trip was a much needed one to get away from PTSD that he had to deal with after coming home from the war. They had spent what little money to travel and get a breath of fresh air. Although I'm curious about how the war in Iraq was at that time, I refrained myself from asking too many questions that could trigger his anxiety. We dropped them off at a cheap hotel near the checkpoint and paid for the room. The couple looked more than relieved, to the point where the GF hugged me crying while thanking our generosity. I was 18 at that time, not much money in my pocket, but the thought of helping those in distress sure feels good. I didn't see them again, but the couple took a picture of me and my friend that night. Fast forward to 2014. I got lost in Bangkok at a train station with a Thai map in hand. Adding to that, I didn't have enough money on me and forgot to activate international withdrawal mode for my ATM card. The only way I could get back to the hotel was by walking about 18 kilometers from where I was at that time. Then I feel a tap on my shoulder. Lo and behold, it was a woman that I helped before. For some reason I didn't recognize her, but she sure recognized me. The first thing she said was, "Alia?" Imagine my surprise having an unknown white woman in a foreign land recognizing me. When I hesitantly said yes, she shrieked with joy. "Remember me? I'm Alice. You helped me before." Being confused at this, I laughed nervously, thinking this is probably one of those scams where people try to rip you off your money. I was wondering if she would coax me to visit her massage parlor next and force me to pay. The next thing I know, she took out a picture of me from her purse. It was me, back in 2006, with my 18-year-old silly-looking face. Only then I remembered who she is. She hugged me tightly, teasingly asked me if I'm lost, which I am. She took my arm like an old friend, and we headed for her car. She has been living in Bangkok for a few years and gotten married, but not to the guy she was with before. My curiosity piqued, so I know I have to ask his whereabouts. Her eyes darkened for a while, and she said approximately a year after the trip, Ben hangs himself in our apartment. I looked at her in disbelief. I gulped down what I believe is now a lump forming at the back of my throat. But the trip? Yeah. I did my best, his parents did their best, our friends did their best too. Ben just couldn't be saved. Ben tried to toughen it out dealing with PTSD, but in the end, no matter what everyone did for his sake, he's just a lost cause. Little did I know on the night where I helped them, Ben actually spent the last of their money on booze to forget his sorrows. But when you helped us on that night, it restored his faith temporarily. We went back home and he talked about how such a simple act could have profound effects. After the war, he believes there's no good in the world anymore. But seeing you refusing our money in gratitude, shrugging it off like you went around being everyone's angel is a daily occurrence, sure help him see things in a different light. She took my hand for a second, looked me in the eye. "Don't worry, we're at a stop and the light is red," and said, "Thank you for giving me another year to spend with him. You do not know how much that means to me. We were high school sweethearts, we grew up together, and seeing him plummeting down to his end is hard. But at least I get the chance to be there to comfort him, because of you." I still keep in contact with Alice occasionally. She invited me to come to San Francisco. She moved back home last year. I have not taken up her offer, maybe one of these days I will.